My name is Lauren. If this is your first time meeting, I am a personal trainer, a transformational life coach, and energy healer. I have put together an incredible system that includes aligning your thoughts and feelings, your energy, your astrology, your human design, the fantasy of your dream body into your eating and exercise habits. Because what happens when we put our thoughts and feelings into aligned action, we're actually triggering the manifestation process. Because manifestation has to do with your masculine energy of the frequency of your mind, the lighthouse of you deciding what you want, and that lighthouse making a signal for the ship, which would be your manifestation, and the dock, which is your vibration, your feminine energy, so that the ship or the manifestation has something to come to. So we have our thoughts and feelings that represent these two energetic functions that make life happen in the physical realm. And in all of my studies of learning how to heal chronic pain, inflammation, I have figured out that when we take the healing principles in the mind-body experience of psychosomatics, of how emotions are stored in your body, all of that stuff that I had to learn to get out of pain can be applied to your aesthetic goal. And so that is my specialty, and that's how I coach my clients. So welcome. If this is your first time meeting me, I'm really glad you're here. So in this live stream, I am talking about the one thing that has helped my clients, hey girl, my clients really make the difference in their dieting experience. And that is satisfaction. Now, this might be really surprising, but here is why it is so duh when you hear it, but then also so duh when you realize how you may have been making this same mistake. So a lot of us, boss babes especially, we run ourselves into the ground and we don't give ourselves a break unless we are sick or injured. And this is very common for women business owners or women who are in the entrepreneurial space because we have the need to achieve. And unfortunately, the need to achieve usually comes from deep-seated emotions in the ages of 0 to 3, where we lost an attachment to one of our caregivers. And the attachment is really about the emotions that we are being able to have a connection with that caregiver, as well as the nervous system. So what happens when we're in these ages of 0 to 3 and we don't feel a sense of emotional or physical connection with our caregivers, what's happening on a primal level of that little 0 to 3 body is that it becomes dysregulated. It actually gets into a total fear and panic state because as a 0 to 3-year-old, if you do not have somebody taking care of you, you will die by the elements. This is primal fear that we are dealing with. And because we're dealing with an age of the brain that is so young, there really isn't a lot of context for us to understand hey, mom and dad might be really stressed out right now. They might be having a moment. My mom might be PMSing. My dad may have just lost a contract. And I'm making this feeling of disconnection mean that I am unsafe. And because we are human, because we have an emotional connection, the negative feeling in our body, which is the primal fear that is set up for us to get out of danger quickly, that emotional, energetic state doesn't translate into, I'm gonna die. It translates into, there's no connection with my caregiver. I must have done something bad. And then as we get older and we learn that we have to be a good girl or a good boy, our performance, our behavior is the thing that gives us a sense of connection, right? We get jelly beans when we get potty trained. So anytime that we have positive affirmation for achieving something or being a certain way makes us want to do and perform to get a very short window of satisfaction when we feel a connection within ourselves of approval. Dopamine secretes from our brain, serotonin secretes from our brain, we feel good. So a lot of times for the boss babes, we put all of this achieving energy into something that we can measure. Our businesses, because our businesses bring in money. It's very matter of fact. I do A, B, and C. I get X, Y, and Z. I get the accolades. I get the clients. I get the money. I get the whatever. So So then when the boss babe is wanting to take time for herself or get her body into shape, it's really, really, really difficult because we have so much energy going out into achieving approval through our business. So then when it translates to the actual eating process, we do the same thing. We believe deep down in this primal, this primal part of our brain that if we sacrifice while we diet, then we will get the result. Then when we lose the 10 pounds, when we look in the mirror, then we're going to be satisfied with our body. And that could not be further from the truth. And so if we learn how to implement satisfaction into our daily eating as we diet, then we're actually going to not only get results, but instead of like arriving at the 10-pound weight loss and then being like, calling your friend, hey, I lost weight, let's go celebrate, let's go to our favorite spot, let's go to happy hour, I want a burger, I want fries, I want chocolate mousse cake after because I deserve it, I've been working so hard. And then you get bloated because your body's not used to consuming that much alcohol, that much salt, that much carbs, that much sugar. So your body expands. You may actually pop up by 5 pounds the very next day. And then you're like, oh my God, it didn't work. I ruined all my progress. And then you could spiral and then just start eating and eating and eating and eating and reversing all of your results. And that is so frustrating. And that's like really the yo-yo diet, right? We're eating very regimented. Then we go out, we have a splurge, and then we're dissatisfied with the results of that splurge. So then we stop dieting because what's the use anyway? And then we gain the weight back, possibly even more, until we get uncomfortable again in our clothes. And then we're like, okay, well, I got to diet again. That's the yo-yo diet. But the thing behind the yo-yo diet is the root emotion that says, I have to perform and I have to sacrifice something that's important to me to get a sense of connection or to get this sense of achievement, the satisfaction. So what we have to look at here is that you don't have to do a ton of inner work every time you want to achieve a goal. That's not what I'm saying. I'm sharing with you the root cause, the thing that's going on in the mind body and how it probably got stuck in your body from such a young age, which makes it so hard to undo. But the undoing process, habit-wise, is just to feel satisfied all the time. The cover of this is a very sexy mouth with a sucker, with a lollipop. And this is about satisfaction through mouthfeel. And this is something that we do not think about ever. And it's like such a weird thing to say, but this is going to be the thing that's really going to change things for you. So the mouthfeel is really noticing how you like things to feel in your mouth. If you like crunchy, like nuts and pita chips, if you like fatty, like if you like, let's see, what's that? The ends, like burnt ends. If you like burnt ends where like the fat kind of explodes in your mouth. If you like to have like a chopped salad. So like if you like put your salad in a bowl and then you get that easy chopper that looks like a whole bunch of pizza cutting blades and you chop up your salad so that when you eat a bite of your salad, there's a different texture than if you just had like big chunks of lettuce. You could also really like a thick shake, like a thick meal replacement shake. You could like the texture of a cold apple. You could like it better if it's a room temperature apple. There's so many ways that we need to figure out how we like food to be in our mouth so that we can feel satisfied. Because so many times when we're thinking about how we have to sacrifice to get the result from the dieting, we're thinking that we have to eat all this really horrible, boring food. And we're not taking into account that there are so many ways that you can make the eating experience, even on a deficit, pleasurable. So for instance, what I want to share with you is a salad that I used to make. I haven't been making it recently. But what I would do is I would chop up bell peppers very small with a little easy chop. And I chopped up bell peppers, I chopped up zucchini, and I blanched them so that they would just get really bright in color. Then take them out really quickly, like it's only a few seconds, and then put them into ice cold water. So I would stop the cooking process. Then I would drain them in a colander. Then I would have these blanched vegetables that were just slightly cooked ready for salads. So then my salad consisted of having these chopped up, blanched bell peppers and zucchini. I also did mushrooms, which kind of sounds kind of gross, but it actually tastes pretty good. And I would play with what I was adding to this salad. So I had my main vegetables, and sometimes I would put in rice. Sometimes I would put in trail mix. Sometimes I would put in crumpled up pita chips to get a different texture. And then you can add in the protein. I would add in shredded chicken breast or ground turkey. And then sometimes I would do like sugar-free barbecue sauce. Sometimes I would use a little bit of ranch dressing, not low-fat ranch dressing, just the regular fat dressing. And what would happen is I got to change the texture of what I was eating depending on the mood. So if I felt like I wanted to have more volume and less calories, that meant that I was putting in rice and I was putting in pita chips to have the crunchiness of the mouthfeel when I ate that salad. Other times when it got closer to my period, that's when I would use trail mix, sometimes bacon, but the trail mix, because it had chocolate little kisses in it and peanut butter kisses and peanuts, then when I had that mouthfeel, I had kind of the creaminess of the chocolate and the peanut butter along with those other vegetables. And I know it sounds kind of gross, but like when you eat Thai food, like you dip protein in different peanut sauces, so it wasn't that gross and it wasn't that much chocolate, but it just gave a textured feeling. So when we're able to eat food that we actually enjoy consuming, then we're gonna stick with the calories or stick with the diet so that we stay in a calorie deficit so that we do burn that fat over time. So I really want you to think about this, especially if you're on a diet right now, because if you're on a diet and you are sacrificing feeling good with what you're eating, you're not going to stick with it. And by the time you actually get your goal, if you do stick with it long enough to get a goal, you're not going to sustain it because you have done so much sacrifice to get to that goal that you will be fatigued from sacrificing and you won't want to keep up with the eating style that got you there. So this is why people talk about diets don't work. Diets work, a calorie deficit works, but you can't be on a deficit forever. Your body doesn't work like that. Your body doesn't just lose weight continually. Eventually, your metabolism is going to slow down so much that then when you do eat even the same amounts of your diet calories, your body's going to just start storing that fuel because it's like we're going to die soon if we don't start conserving this energy. So let's down regulate all of our organs, all of these essential organs that we need to function. Let's down regulate their function so that we don't require so much energy from this little teeny tiny bit of calories that we're eating. Then that's when you start to get the hormonal issues and the health issues because the organs don't have any energy. It's like expecting your car to drive without any gasoline in it, or if you have an electric car, without it charging. So we really have to consider the things that we like so that we can stay satisfied in the dieting process. And the resistance that a lot of us have to feeling satisfied while we diet is because of those inner child emotions, the root causes that drive us to do these really crazy things with our body for the outcome of the aesthetic result. Because what I have discovered is that the attachment trauma, like most of us really just relate attachment trauma to how we show up in our romantic partnerships. That if a woman has an insecure attachment style to their father, then she's going to have the daddy issues. She's going to be too masculine. She's going to be overtaking in the relationships, or she is going to be extra promiscuous, or she is going to attract little boy energy of men who don't want to make any decisions. And like their attachment trauma has a lot to do with their relationship with their mom and how they were shamed by their mom. So, and then with the woman, how we have issues with our female parent, with the feminine energy, the mom characteristics, then we carry the shame of not living up to that role model. So we have this very awful dynamic where we're feeling insecure that we have to perform to get that attention from dad, which is the masculine energy, which shows up in our desire to overdo the diets and overdo the exercise and overdo the work and just turn ourselves into a workhorse. And then when we have the attachment trauma with the mom figure, then we have this like inherent shame that we're not living up to an unspoken expectation, because we have the feminine body, the feminine embodiment of what it is to be in feminine energy, or the physical representation of what it is to be female, that we're supposed to live up to. That's our example of to be woman. And then with the masculine and the dad energy, that's our way that we get to find out how great we are and devotionally loved and be protected and be guided. So if we don't have the right attachment to those two figures, then that inner child is going to try to figure out how to not feel shame. So she's going to change things about herself, and how to win the approval, which means she becomes an overachiever, a workhorse. So when we understand, when we see that in the relationship dynamic of how the female attachment trauma, how that shows up in the relationships, we're more aware of how that is, that we can be avoidant or we can be anxious. We could be keeping people at an arm's length, or we can be super clingy because we're afraid to lose them. The worry that we have is the loss. We're afraid of losing. So then what happens is we create a fantasy of what the perfect relationship is, or what our worst fears of relationships, so then we don't enter one, right? So when I started to really look at this of how it applies to the dream body, we do the same thing with the dream body. So how we are projecting onto a romantic partner, we do the same projecting onto our dream body. And so that's why we have all of these weird patterns that show up. So a lot of times if we have insecure attachment to the dream body, it's because of the attachment trauma of how our mind-body system is feeling this lack of connection and trying to figure out what to do to feel the sense of connection. But really on that primal level, it's about feeling safe and secure. So when we have the insecure attachment to the dream body and we have the overachiever mentality, then we are going to be really, really tedious sticking to all of the diet rules, because we're thinking that if we do it exactly right, then we will have the dream body. Then we will have the attention from dad. And then if we have the insecurity that's more from the feminine aspect of the shame, we're not going to feel good about ourselves. And so we may not even do anything to make any results happen towards our dream body. We might just be stuck in analysis paralysis and not do a damn thing. Because even saying that we want to have a different aesthetic and prioritizing ourselves makes the shame activate that maybe we're not worthy to do it, or maybe we are bad for wanting this different thing. So then all these weird little sabotage patterns start to show up, because really on this really deep rooted internal level, the dream body is actually the personification of everything that we wanted with our parents. And so this is why it's so difficult to make a lot of these steps forward if you're struggling a lot. If you have a hard time achieving your goals with your body, it's probably because you have these deep rooted emotions. And the reason why I know them so well is because I had the manifestation in dis-ease and chronic pain and psychosomatic injury with my neck. So I learned all of this deep stuff about how these emotions that are stored in our body from a very young age manifest in an unhealthy body. And then once I got through them enough to get healthy, then it was like, well, what would I like to look like? And I was like, I want a banging hourglass figure. I want nice pronounced shoulders. I want a tapered waist, and I want a big high butt. So then when I had to face the fears of shame of how vain is this? How are people going to perceive me? How are people going to think that I'm all about the aesthetics now, when really this is rooted in very deep internal healing spiritual practices? I had to work through all of that stuff in order to follow through and not feel bad about what my desires were. So when you work with me, especially in the Fat Life, which is a group container that is 6 months long, or a private container that is 1 year long, we unpack this stuff. So if you have a desire for your body and you keep getting sick, or you keep having a migraine, or you like something always happens as soon as you even set a goal, like even if we just decide and like you're scheduled to work out, and then all of a sudden something in your life or in your business or in your body goes haywire and you can't follow through, that's actually energetic. That's a vibrational aspect of your emotion, that your body sent out a signal, literally, that was like, this is not who you are. If you follow through with this on Monday, you will no longer be the current you. So then the old emotions start to vibrate, start to become active. We usually just call them triggered, and it starts to change your reality. Your reality is shaped by your vibrational state. If you have these goals in mind and you sabotage your success, whether you undo the progress by stuffing your face or you don't follow through, you just ghost it, that's also from that inner child, from the root emotions. So when we work together, simultaneously, you're going to be making these little habits to make sure that you're eating enough food to not starve and then require a binge, to learn how to make your food so juicy, delicious, and desirable based on that mouthfeel of what you like. If you like the crunchy and the fluffiness of carbs, or if you like more of the dense sensation of fatty food in your mouth, whatever, we figure out how to make little tweaks to everything that you're eating, even in a calorie deficit, so that you can stick with being in a deficit long enough to see those results and stick with it long term. Like, kind of always be eating a little bit less than you need so that your body is always in a fat burning state. Like, you could be in a very slight calorie deficit long term so that you're always burning the fat on your body and not storing it. And the only way you do that is to figure out how to be satisfied all the time. So we do the inner work in addition to doing these habit changes. I have a workout program for you that is going to get you into that smoke show hot body, the hourglass shape, doing specific exercises to really pronounce your curves and pull your waistline in. That's like generally the look that we're all after, to have a balanced aesthetic and, of course, a nice round butt that's very, very, very far away from your thighs. You want to pull it up, pull it up. So when we work together, we're doing the inner work, we're doing the habit changes, and then we're also tapping into your astrology and your human design. And that is a big secret sauce of this whole occasion, or this whole framework, because we get to know exactly what is appropriate for you. So you might be trying diet and exercise programs that don't make sense to your energy type at all. Like, they are so out of alignment. And when we use your astrology and your human design, then we can move through the inner work faster. Because what's really cool about your astrology and your human design is that it is your soul's blueprint. There is a spiritual concept that has gotten lost through the years as things have changed and been altered to make sure that humanity stays under control of ruling powers. There is an esoteric belief that that did rule the world, essentially, that we are a soul that chose a life plan so that we can experience the human life to grow our soul. And so a lot of times when we can't access these stored emotions, when we look at our astrology and we look at the mythology behind it and see how it resonates with us, it kind of like sparks memories of like, oh, that's just like this time with my dad, this time with my mom. Oh my God, my mind is blown. This makes so much sense. And then it makes the inner work even faster. And when we have, like I said in the very beginning, our thoughts and our feelings aligned, when we take action in alignment, we're not just changing our body, but we're changing our entire reality, because we're literally using the laws of the universe within our body, within the frequency of our mind, within the magnetism of our vibration of our heart, and then through the tangible action of what we're doing with our habits. So this is the most amazing thing, and nobody is doing diet and exercise like this. And so if you're interested, you have 24 hours to use a coupon. because I want you to get results and I want you to feel really excited and secure about it. So if you comment FAT, P-H-A-T, in the next 24 hours from when this live stream is over, it's 4:03 p.m. right now, you are gonna get a coupon for 50% off your first month. And you can leave after the first month if you do not feel satisfied. And then of course you can stay for the remaining 5 months if you're doing the group for 6 months, or if you're gonna do the private container for 12 months. So comment FAT and I will send you that link to get you started. We'll work together in a month. I'm gonna assume that you're staying, so I'm gonna give you 100% of my effort and my expertise so that you can get results in your first month. And if you like your results in the first month, then you can stay. The 50% is only for the first month. But if you're like, yeah, not for me, I'd rather just follow an eating plan that somebody tells me what to do and torture myself a little bit longer, driving myself insane, doing the same thing, expecting different results, that's okay. You can totally leave. That will be fine with me. Okay, so I will see you later. Thank you so much for being here. Have an awesome day.